Welcome back to the shop. I'm Lars.
And I'm Susan. And today we're going to be going over a step-by-step process on how to clean your xTool S1. We will include cleaning the exterior of it, the laser, the honeycomb tray, as well as the base unit. Now, I know on a daily basis you should be cleaning your laser daily or even hourly from what xTool recommends. But what we're going through is a nice thorough cleaning that you're going to do on a weekly or bi-weekly basis.
We're also going to show you how to clean off the gantry, all the rails on the gantry, the top and the bottom, how to re-grease them, and also where the laser is up down, the Z gantry. We're also going to pull the housing off the fan, show you how to clean the fan, and show you some of the possible issues you might come up against when taking the screws out of the fan.
So if this is something you're interested in learning more about, stick around, let's get started.
Alright, so in order to clean the xTool S1, you need some tools. You're going to need flashlights, okay? One or two bright flashlights so you can see what's going on inside. You may need a magnet and something with an extender on it, or some sort of magnetized screwdriver or something like that, if you elect to take the fan out of the back to clean it out, which we did. Some screws did fall down inside of it, and having a magnet helped a lot to get it back out. Something else you're going to need is you're going to need some 70% isopropyl alcohol. Recommend some sort of cup to put it in, or a spritzer so you can spritz it onto a paper towel when you're cleaning stuff. Some Q-tips are also really handy to get down in the nooks and crannies. An air can, just in case you need to blow some of the dust out of the fan, that helps. Some sort of a degreaser. We use this LA Totally Awesome degreaser. You're going to use this on the honeycomb to clean it, and you're also going to clean the bottom of the laser off, and you're also going to clean the bottom of the actual S1. Last thing you need is your toolkit from xTool, because you're going to need the hexagon screwdriver to take the laser off and also to get access to the fan. If you take the fan out, you're going to need a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench, and like I said before, you could drop a screw if you go that route. Is it worth doing it? I don't know, but if you don't take it out, make sure that you get really good light in there and that you can get all the fan blades cleaned off, because they usually get pretty dirty.
Okay, so the first thing you want to do is take a little bit of alcohol, which I put into a spray bottle, and spray it on your paper towel, and we're going to clean the cover of the xTool as well as the unit itself. So the next thing you want to do is get your honeycomb. If you have a honeycomb tray, you want to get it out of the way. So the next thing we want to do is take off the laser. I have a 40-watt laser on my xTool S1. The first thing you want to do is remove the distance sensor here on the side. It's magnetic and comes off very easily. Next, you want to take the hex screwdriver from your xTool toolkit and take out the two screws that are located on the top of your laser. Now, as you notice, I'm keeping my hand on the front of this laser just to make sure it doesn't fall once I remove the screws. You want to pull it all the way up and then tilt it forward and pull it out. Next, you want to remove the cables on the side, as well as your air assist hose if you're using that. And there you go. Now the 40-watt laser is now off. So next I want to take some paper towel and my alcohol spray again. And I'm going to wipe down the top of the gantry. So we also want to wipe down all the sides here. And then come across the back. And then come over here and wipe down the right side. Now, we can use the paper towel to wipe up a lot of the stuff in here, but what I like to do is take a small vacuum. Now that the larger pieces of debris are out of there, I'm going to take my degreaser, put a little bit down on the bottom, because as you notice, there's a lot of buildup on the bottom from the sap and stuff that comes off the wood that you cut, and that remains on the bottom. As you can see, it's starting to turn colors where I sprayed this down, and look at all that mess coming off. Needs clean, doesn't it? This is why we call this a deep clean. On a daily basis, I will always clean my laser and I will pull out some of the debris, but every couple weeks you need to come in here and do a deep clean and pull all this off of here. Isn't that nasty? Look how much better that looks. Get a little bit more in the back here. And this degreaser works really well taking all this off. Now the base of that unit is nice and clean. Did miss a little bit. Now, how often you clean this base tray is going to be based on how much you use your laser. If you're doing a lot of cutting of wood, you definitely want to clean this more frequently. Maybe once a week, maybe every few days. It really depends on how much you're running through here. So remember we pulled out the honeycomb tray earlier? Now look at that. The same stuff that was on the bottom tray of the S1 is all over this honeycomb. Now I'm going to take that same degreaser and I'm going to spray it down both sides, and I'm going to take it up to my utility sink. Well, I'm going to take it to the utility sink first and then spray it down and let it set for a little while and then rinse it out, and it will take all of this stuff out, and I will show that to you later.
What we're going to be looking at here is the right side of the xTool S1, and what I want you to concentrate on is this black part is the structure or the case that the tool's in. This black part back here is the gantry. Alright? In each of these there's a steel rod. There's one on top and there's one on the bottom. You can barely see this on the bottom because of where it's at. And on the gantry there's one on the bottom and there's one up here on the top. I don't know if you can see the silver up here, but we need to clean those off with some alcohol. It's the same alcohol spritzer Susan used earlier in the video. So I'm just going to run down the rail. What this is going to do is going to make sure that we got off all of the debris off the rail. So you're just going to run this down the back rail's bottom and the back rail, the gantry's top, and the same thing. You're going to go down the side rail, make sure you push this rail all the way back, and you're going to come down the bottom like this. Also do the left hand side while you're at it. And the last thing that you want to do is you want to pull this gantry completely forward, and you want to move the gantry itself all the way down and do the spots that we missed when it was in the back into the left. Now that that's done, you want to get this Peng Sheng grease that came with the xTool S1, and you want to put a couple drops here and there on this rail. And this stuff is a little difficult to get out, so just put just a couple drops here and there. About every 3 inches, put a little blob. Hopefully you guys can see that. Do this on each side, and then pull the gantry forward. Once you get to that, pull this gantry forward, and roll down, and then go back, and then come back forward. Make sure you put some more on the back side of this rod. Once you do the top rail, then do the bottom rail. Make sure you put some on your finger like this, and then get it on top of the rail. Make sure you cover the entire bottom of that rail. If you do it with the Peng Sheng grease like this, the lubricant, you're only going to get it on one side, and you want to get that entire rail lubed up. The reason we are greasing these rails is so this wheel here, there's a couple of them. There's one on the front side of this, and there's one on the back, on both top and on the bottom. And you don't want these wheels to get bound up at all. You need to keep an eye on these rails, make sure there's no debris or anything getting on them, but there's no need to actually grease the wheel itself. Greasing the rails is enough. One thing you also want to remember when you're greasing is put a little bit of grease on these rails here, and then push this down, and put a little bit of grease on the rails here and pull it up, and let them go up and down a little bit, and make sure you do both sides, because the grease doesn't move around in circles. This one here is a little harder because it doesn't have an open side, so if you kind of rub your finger around it like that, spread that grease out. Then any extra grease you want to get rid of, because grease is flammable. Alright, wipe the bottom of that off, wipe over here, especially things that are going to be around this laser that have any possibility of getting contact with grease. So make sure you wipe these bottom platforms pretty good and the top platform pretty good. Okay? In order to clean out the fan and the exhaust, you need to remove this exhaust port. There's 4 screws. There's one here, one at the bottom here, and one on the other side. And you can use your xTool hex screwdriver to take these out. Once you get your fan housing off, you're going to see that you have your fan inside. This really doesn't look too bad, but we're still going to take it out and we're going to clean it. Be very careful when you're taking out the screws. The screws actually go through this hole and this hole. Actually, they go the other way, because this goes in like this. And you can see the screw up here at the top. They go through here to here. If you pull the screws out from the holes too far, they will drop. There's no place to hold them, and where they'll drop is into this little well back here. They'll drop into this little well back here. Okay? Now, in order to get them out, so you can take the option of either removing your fan or not. We opted to take it out. But once you remove your fan, you may have to take off this power block cover, and then you can pull the case out a little bit here. And you also need to pull these guys out when you do it. Okay, so these guys will unscrew. Pull this out, and then you need to pry up the case, and inside these holes here is where you will find your screws. At least we found one there. The other one, I had to take a Allen wrench from a T, and I put some neodyne magnets on it to magnetize it. You could also, if you have something that's magnetized or a magnet, you can. It would fit down in here. And I dropped this down into the hole and reached to the back and found the other screw. So we had 2 of them drop in. It's just a word of advice if you're taking out your fan. in order to break down your laser to clean it, this has got the air hose protector here. It's a guard. Just kind of get a screwdriver underneath here, real gently. Don't poke through the air hose, and set this off to the back. It's held on there with these two magnets. This is the lens protector. Pick it up, disconnect the air hose, set it to the back. To get the lens guard off, you need to counterclockwise turn this. And this is a piece of glass in here. Be careful with it. And then set that off to the side. That is your laser. Now what you want to clean your laser with is some alcohol. This got stuff right here. And I'm going to use just a medicine cup, an old medicine cup that we had laying around. I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol in it. Whoa, that's a little bit much. That'll work. So, just going to dip my Q-tip in here, grab a clean paper towel, and kind of dop it off a little bit. You don't want it super wet. And then get in and clean that lens good. And you're also going to clean the lens guard on the inside and on the outside. And then you can either let that dry, but I always like to just get a little bit of that out of there to make sure that's pretty clear. And the same thing with the laser. Just dip that in, make sure that's clean, and then you can let the alcohol evaporate. Inside of the lens protector, you can see there is a little bit of burn in there, so I'm going to try to get that out real good. And just scrub with the Q-tip the best you can. Make sure you get all the way down on the bottom. If you get any dirt on it, on the Q-tip, just roll it on a paper towel. You can see there's a little bit of the residue there. And take this and spin it into the bottom. Make sure you get the outside pretty clean. And at that point there, you should be good to go. You can see how much stuff came off that lens. It's pretty dirty. And I would keep cleaning this until you don't have any more dirt in it. Then put your lens protector back on. I'm screwing that clockwise.
Now, as you can see on the bottom of here, there's also some of that residue from the wood. I just use a little bit of the LA Awesome, spray it on a piece of paper towel, and it comes right off. I also want to do it here. Is it there? Yes. It's hard to get in some of these little nooks and crannies. But it cleans all that residue off. It goes all over the place when you're using your laser. And this is the bottom of the laser, and it just gets everywhere. Okay. Now that this is dry, you want to put your air assist tube back on, and then place this down in there, and then this has a little groove where the hose goes through. Just fits right back down in there, and it's ready to be put back on.
Now, xTool recommends that you do the following cleaning schedule for the laser modules. If you have a 10 watt, clean it every 2 hours. A 20 watt, clean every hour. 40 watt, clean every half an hour. If you use air assist, and you won't have to clean it as often. We do use air assist on ours, so we clean it every day. depending on how many jobs and types of jobs that are running through the S1. In order to put the laser back in, you're going to need your xTool screwdriver. You're going to need these 2 screws to put it back in. First thing you do is you reconnect your cabling. So there'll be the little tab on the back, and that guy slides in. You'll hear a click. Put your air assist in, like that. So that's in. Then just take this and lay it. There's a little piece of like a round cylinder in the back, and there's a hole here. That needs to go into there, and then it will. There's a magnet to hold it on the bottom, but hang on to these lasers because they are a little heavy. And then start one of the screws. And then you can get the other screw started. You can see they're heavy, they like to slide down. They don't have to be super tight, but just make sure they're snug. And then the last thing to hook on the side is your distance sensor. So this isn't too bad. You want to push the button up, because what will happen is, you know, this distance drops down. So you want to lock it up, and then there's 2 magnets. These 2 here in the center where my thumb is, 2 little round discs, and they line up with 2 other magnets on the other side. And so you just kind of set that in there, and it will connect. And that's all there is to it.
Okay, so we're back. This is the honeycomb tray after it's been cleaned. As I said, I took it upstairs, I put it in the utility sink, and I sprayed it down really well. I sprayed it in every direction, cleaned the edges on it, as the back and the front. I sprayed it, let it soak for a while, and then just cleaned it off. Now, with that said, I would say when I cleaned it in the summertime, being able to take it outside, spray it down, let it soak, and spray it with a hose was a lot easier than working with it due to the size in a utility sink or a kitchen sink. But just FYI. So, but this is a day later, because once you clean it, you do need to let it dry thoroughly before you put it back in your S1.
That last clip with the honeycomb did not show how shiny that honeycomb really was. The LA Totally Awesome is a great product. It's a great degreaser. The link down in the description shows the best price that we could find on it. So please use the link if you need to get you some. I really hope that we didn't scare anybody away on cleaning their xTool S1. I hope this filled in a lot of the blanks on how to do it and what you needed to get done to clean the xTool S1. It's very important to keep this laser clean. It will reduce the possibility of having a fire inside of your laser. Any place that smoke can go is going to leave a residue from all of the sap or glue or whatever's holding the plywood together or whatever's in the wood. It's just going to leave a residue everywhere. So please make sure you get it cleaned off. If you liked the video, please click like, please subscribe to our channel, and also you're always welcome back in the shop, and as always, have a nice day.